Hey, everybody, off the Mike Sports Network. Another edition of Off the Top Rope. Sorry for the delay. Just kind of, mellowing out on Saturday was an early rise for this premium live event, Night of Champions, taking place in Saudi Arabia. And, I got to say, man, like, listen, given all of like the crap that we bitched and moaned about, this event, the politics surrounding it, some of the booking decisions that we got. This was actually a pretty good show. And you know what's crazy? And I was thinking about this. Virtually every premium live event that has happened, but I'm not talking about Saturday night's main event. Every premium live event that has happened this year in WWE has been pretty solid outside of WrestleMania. WrestleMania had what? A few matches that were good, and then a shit main event on night two, a lot of meh, and for WrestleMania, it didn't feel really big. And then you take a look, Royal Rumble was pretty good. Elimination Chamber was pretty good. Backlash was pretty good. And now we get Night of Champions, and we also Money in the Bank. Night of Champions and Money in the Bank all were really solid shows, and yeah, I mean, it wasn't by no means was it perfect. I think the main event itself was, I think a little bit too overbooked for my taste. I get it, why they went this route. They needed to find a way to ham it up. Although that being said, John Cena and CM Punk were not having a bad match by any stretch of the imagination before all the bullshit began. But when it got to be Penta and Sami Zayn, I understand that they had to neutralize the Seth Riders. But it got a little ridiculous there at the end. Seth, continuing his feud with CM Punk, and a lot of people are not going to be thrilled with that. That's a whole issue. But there was some good stuff on this show. Like, let's go chronologically here. So opening match was Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton in the King of the Ring final. This was an awesome match with an awesome atmosphere. They go almost 20 minutes. Cody showing heel tendencies in this match was the big story. Where Randy hurt his back early in the match, doing a superplex, and I don't think Randy gets nearly enough credit for how good of a seller he is. And he sold the shit out of his back. But there was a couple of Cody cutters near the end. Randy Orton hit a couple of RKOs, and Randy wasn't able to get the win. And then Randy hesitates on the punt, tries to use a steel chair at the end of this match, exposes the top turnbuckle. Cody shoves Randy into the turnbuckle, hits one crossroads, and wins the match. Little bit of a dull finish here, but hey, it plays into, I think, what's going to be a bigger story between Cody and Randy. And it leaves you questioning what the direction of WWE is going to be moving forward for Cody Rhodes, because is there going to be a double turn at SummerSlam? Is there going to be him winning and him and Randy Orton going back to doing a feud with one another? How is this going to play out? This was really well done. I don't have a problem with the way that they booked this tournament. I think this tournament was awesome. A lot of great storytelling in this match. And, I think for a big time opener, and the crowd was just solely invested in these two guys. And man, Cody was the bad guy for most of this thing. But yeah, Randy hesitating to do the punt on somebody he loves. Like, it just, Randy sort of having that look of disgust of Cody winning basically by cheating, even though it wasn't really him who introduced the turnbuckle into the match. So that was really good. It was a really good opener. So Cody wins King of the Ring. Basically, after the match, he pretty much says he's taking the ball back at SummerSlam, whether it's Punk or John Cena. So, and some people were watching that and saying, hey, maybe that was, maybe that was a heel promo from Cody. I don't know where this is going. We talked about it, I think, a week ago when he was at Fanatics Fest, and he basically said his babyface run was kind of nearing the end. Makes you wonder, what are they going to do at SummerSlam? Because they had an uphill battle to fight with John Cena, because that first match was not good for a lot of different reasons. So it's going to be very interesting. And spoiler alert, for those of you who didn't watch, John Cena did win. We'll get to that here later on the recap. Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez. Roxanne Perez gets involved in this. Listen, this was very fun, actually, given everything that happened. So Rhea Ripley tries to get a senton near the middle portion of this match, and so they put the cover for the announce desk on in the timekeepers area, and Rhea gets power bombed in there. That was a sick looking spot. Rhea then hits a razor's edge and gets the prism trap. While the prism trap is on, Roxanne Perez gets involved. Roxanne gets taken out pretty easily. She gets like a little sick kick with a also, Rhea was using a studded belt in this match, which was pretty gnarly looking. Um, so at the end of this thing, they set a they did something that some AEW schmucks are going to be like the hell at the table. So they set up a table in the corner, but then they did something that I've never really seen, at least in this type of a match. They set the table up on the top turnbuckle, and both women were up there, and Rhea just hits an avalanche an avalanche riptide for the win. This was a really good street fight. Because and Raquel Rodriguez, I like her more than most. A lot of people are going to migrate to, man, Rhea won. Maybe it should have been that. And I thought, Raquel could have used the win, but there was a lot of protection. There was a bunch of bullshit spots going on in here. Look, the end game here is for Rhea to get back to the women's championship. That's what this is about. But I think a bigger story in this match is Raquel Rodriguez, really for the first time on the main roster, looked really, really good. This was probably one of her best performances since NXT. Like, she came off as close to an equal to Rhea Ripley. And we knew that, and like conventionalism would have told you, hey, even in a street fight, maybe Raquel could win, but Rhea doesn't lose very often. And I know people are going to use this and frame it and clip it and just say, Mike, you're always critical of Mercedes losing. Listen, this match definitely did more, I think, for Raquel Rodriguez than people are going to realize, because that being said, I think, it wouldn't have hurt Rhea to lose in a street fight stipulation where another person gets involved. But, the reality of the situation is their hands were kind of tied. I don't think this was going to be on Night of Champions in the first place. I think that WWE had to shift some things around when Liv Morgan went down with that injury. I think Liv and Io was supposed to be in this spot, but hey, Rhea Ripley, she's over. She's beloved by the fans. Like, she's a dominant female, and I think, like I said, in a lot of other previous Rhea Ripley matches, when it's not like Charlotte Flair or even Nia Jax, there's not a lot, and because Liv has been more projected as a chicken shit or not a baby face, but really like one of those heels who's not. And they've kind of presented her as a little bit of an equal, but she's needed a lot of help. Raquel, like for most of this match, until really we got into the prism trap and stuff near the back half of this thing, and then Roxanne gets in, but that played into a bigger story. So I'm fine with this. And like I said, it's not the end of the world. I think Raquel was a little bit protected, but it was a very physical street fight. I think it was really well done. Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross, I said it on the preview show, I would be disappointed if Karrion didn't win. I was. But Karrion had a good outing here. Literally 30 seconds into this match, the reporting about, hey, he doesn't take back bumps was immediately thrown on its ear. So that was a bunch of bullshit. But Sami gets a win with a miracle haluva kick. Karrion Kross definitely did show out in this match. I mean, hey, look, it's in Saudi Arabia. Sami's from there. I get it. I think it is Sami, having that killer instinct, and Karrion was taunting him near the end. He gets the miracle kick. I hope this isn't the end, and this isn't just a one-off for Karrion Kross, whether it's with Sami, but I hope he interacts with more people and gets more matches like this, because he showed he belonged. And I'm glad that, they gave us this match, and it was clear that they were building to this for a while, and then they paid it off here in a big-time environment for Sami. So, yeah, all in all, pretty good match. Like I said, the really, Kross was just begging him to say he was a liar, and then he gets the miracle haluva kick. So we'll see where this goes moving forward. Jacob Fatu and Solo Sakoa for the U.S. Championship. Jacob Fatu is unbelievable, but this went about the exact way that I expected it to go. Like, I thought Jacob could win, but the more I thought about it after I signed off of that video, I was like, yeah, Solo's going to win, because they're going to continue and they're gonna build a new bloodline. And basically what this amounted to is Tonga Loa showing back up. I didn't have that on my bingo card. So everybody's internet goat who, I mean, you can have fun with that. He showed up. That got neutralized. Referee's distracted. Jacob hits his jump up moonsault, and then Hikuleo, who was not named, we'll speculate on what he's named because they renamed JC Mateo. Interestingly enough, when JC Mateo showed up at Backlash, they they basically called him Jeff Cobb. So it'll be interesting to see what they call Hickle. He had some main event matches, some dark matches. So it's not surprising that, Hikuleo showed up in this spot. It's going to be interesting to see how that develops because you still have Tama Tonga, who's out with injury. We'll see. It's Bloodline 3.0. A lot of people aren't going to like this, but it's definitely very interesting to see Jacob get some adversity here. Listen, he got thrown through a table. The aura is not going to be off of him. Like he needed a bunch of bullshit to beat him. And good for Solo. Good for Solo. They've shown some personality. I'm amazed the way they booked this guy coming out of NXT. No personality, but this guy has a lot of personality. And him being a champion, he got rewarded for a lot of the great work that he did through the Roman Reigns stuff, and then now coming out of this with the Jacob Fatu stuff. And clearly, this is not over. I think this is going to drag a little bit further into the summer and maybe into the fall, and maybe the Usos reunite and become a part of this thing because clearly they were hinting at something with Big Jim on SmackDown. Is this the new direction for Jey Uso moving forward? And Roman's still out there. I think Roman is kind of above this bloodline stuff, at least now, because it's just kind of tiered off into the mid card, which isn't a bad thing. It's like you don't need everything to be top of the card level, but you need to fill out these shows with stuff like, that, balances things out. So I think it doesn't hurt to continue this thing. It definitely feels lesser than it was before, but Jacob, it's good that we're going to see some character development from this guy. Because he's really looked invincible since he's been on the main roster, and that's why he's gotten over. But he's such a good promo guy that I think that this whole thing with him fighting against Solo and fighting against this new bloodline is going to be a really intriguing thing to see with Jacob Fatu moving forward. All right, then we get to the Queen of the Ring tournament. A lot of opinions about this. I thought that this was a good little sprint. I wish it might have had a little bit more time. They only gave it 8 minutes. Jade Cargill and Asuka, but Asuka goes for the Empress Impact at the end. Jade hits Jaded and botches her pin, falls back a little too far. We didn't see the other side of it, much like what was very obvious with the Gunther Randy Orton finishing King of the Ring last year. But yeah, listen, Jade looked fine, man. Like, good for her. I think the reaction of it, I think part of that is just, I mean, you could claim racism or whatnot with the Saudi. The crowd, just the 2 nights in Saudi Arabia, were just not into Jade Cargill. They loved Asuka. And a lot of people are going to be mad about this result. Guys, this was always the direction that they were going in, whether it was 2 SmackDown people or not. With Naomi holding that Money in the Bank briefcase and Jade Cargill winning Queen of the Ring, it sets the stage for something to happen at SummerSlam. Or hell, I'm not ruling out that Naomi doesn't walk into SummerSlam as the women's champion. She's got history with Tiffany Stratton. So it is not a foregone conclusion that, ultimately this thing ends, that direction. But clearly they're setting the stage for their biggest female storyline on SmackDown, which was the Bianca and Jade stuff. All due respect to Tiffany Stratton. She's kind of felt like a third wheel, and really all due respect to Tiffany. And there was a fine last woman standing match on SmackDown. All due respect to her. Her title run has not been great. It's not her fault. There's just not a lot of people for her to challenge. Like, she's got Charlotte, and then a lot of these other women have been distracted in other stuff. Bianca Belair was going over to challenge for the Raw Championship. Naomi and Jade were embroiled with each other. There really was nothing there outside of Charlotte. So they're kind of in a weird spot. So I'm interested to see what they do with the women's division there on SmackDown, if it's actually going to be Jade and Tiffany at SummerSlam. So then we get to the main event. John Cena, CM Punk. Didn't know this, that it was a 6-6 split with one no contest and one draw, one no contest and one draw, I believe, in the John Cena CM Punk series. This was actually probably from bell to bell before all the bullshit happened. Probably one of John Cena's best matches on this retirement tour. Him and Punk put in the greatest hits. Cena, so we get a GTS near fall. We had Avalanche AA. Basically, Punk kicked out of 3 AAs in this match. And then John Cena was going for his typical move where he goes the shoulder tackle. He shoulder tackles the ref, and Punk gets a GTS. He gets a visual pinfall for the 3. Punk then signals for another referee, and out comes Seth Rollins with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Reed and Reed and Breaker take out him. They put him through a table, and then Rollins ends up standing in the ring. He motions to the back, and this was great. This was a chef's kiss. We get Charles Robinson, literally almost 17 years passed since this happened. WrestleMania 24, sprinting down the aisleway only to get just absolutely destroyed by John Cena with the shoulder tackle. John Cena gets back in the ring, berates Rollins, basically tells him, "What the fuck are you doing? I don't do this, don't do that." Like they were yelling at each other for a little bit. And Rollins ends up swinging the Money in the Bank briefcase. Cena ducks it, and he gets Rollins down with an AA. So then Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed then attack John Cena. So this got really weird. Penta comes out, and then Sami Zayn comes out. That gets rid of the heels. And then Bronson Reed basically goes up for the tsunami. He gets pushed off by CM Punk. Cena, even in this stage, is still incredibly strong. Hits an AA on Bronson Reed. So they avoided the ultimate triple threat. Cena and Punk meet in the middle of the ring. Punk offers a handshake. Cena accepts it, hugs Punk only for, by the way, back to the Charles Robinson thing for a second. That was also a callback to Money in the Bank 2011, a double callback, which was chef's kiss. So then we get basically Cena shaking hands, hugging CM Punk. He does the heartless look that he did famously on Cody at the Elimination Chamber. Cena tries to go to Dick Kick City. Punk blocks it. Punk goes for the GTS, but Cena gets out of the way, and Rollins gets back in, hits the briefcase, and hits him with the briefcase in the stop. Cena just gets Rollins out of the ring, covers CM Punk for the 3 count, and John Cena retains the WWE Championship. Listen, this was fun, but I think we're getting to a point where these overbooked messes of finishes are really starting to become an issue. I could have done without the Penta interference. I could have done without the Sami Zayn interference. I understand they needed people, and people through this whole thing were chanting for Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns, if you're going to have somebody make a run-in in that spot, Roman would have made more sense. They're saving it clearly for something bigger. It might have to wait until SummerSlam. There's been rumors that he's already been talked about for creative. We literally have a month until SummerSlam, so maybe that's when it happens. And the CM Punk Seth Rollins thing is going to continue. So I guess this is the direction that they're going with CM Punk for SummerSlam. It's going to be Cody and Cena. We'll see where that goes. Listen, the main event itself, before the bullshit happened, was really good. I think a lot of the interference might have hindered it a little bit because, like I said, the Penta and Sami stuff, I was like, come on. Sami had a match earlier in the night. Penta, cool to see him involved in this main level stuff, but come on. Like this, it got a little ridiculous there at the end. All in all, still a very fun finish to a great show. And like I said, I'll go to my grave saying this. John Cena's greatest rival is CM Punk, and it's a shame that Triple H after the show said that this is the last time they're ever going to face each other. I hope that's a bold-faced lie. I hope that's not true. We'll see. But anyway, this again, another example. WWE has created great premium live events with the exception of their biggest show of the year. Night of Champions was the latest example of that. We'll have a lot more coming here on the channel stemming off of that. Some great takes heading into a big week of wrestling. We're in the final 2 weeks building towards All In. We're literally 2 weeks away from Saturday night's main event. We're literally 2 weeks away from Evolution. So this is going to be interesting to see this stretch as we head into the month of July. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys. Bye bye.